Strix. I am a licensed and practicing medical doctor, clinical hypnotherapist, and mental health coach. I speak of myself as a mental health professional in that I first seek out the mental health in people. Meaning, when I look at you, I'm not just thinking about what meds to give you. I'm first looking at the fact of the matter of you being still in some way or form a living and functional human being. Meaning, I still see hope. Meaning, there's some mental health in there. Meaning, I still see the person. Meaning, I see you. And this is why I call myself a mental health practitioner. I look primarily for your mental health, and if it's not there, I help you find it. So, let's talk about anxiety. Imagine you're a small young mouse in a very large human house. Of course, everybody's out to get you. Nobody's there for you. You're unprotected, unsafe. You stick to the corners. You dash. You avoid the light. Of course. Small mouse, large human house. Tense, nervous, agitated, restless, lacking sleep, sometimes completely sleepless. Your heart races, you palpitate. You're short of breath. Your mouth dries. You're nauseous. You're dizzy. And you can call it anything from a panic attack, phobia, social anxiety, or a generalized anxiety disorder. This is if you have a clinical diagnosis. And we say clinical or clinical anxiety usually if this excessive uneasiness and apprehension has lasted more than 6 months, and if it interferes with your daily activities. And when I say uneasiness, it's like there's no place where you're calm and no place where you're at ease. Or there are certain places where you're not at ease and where you're not calm, and you're the complete opposite of tranquil, serene, peaceful. And when I say apprehension, it's you are stopped by something in yourself, or you find yourself unable to proceed or unable to do certain things which you know you should be doing. So, excessive uneasiness and apprehension, more than 6 months, interfering with your daily activities, it's time to see a doctor. Anything short of that though, let's talk about that. Anxiety, just in my area, just at the clinics where I'm at, there are 3 schools. And if you're tense, nervous, agitated, head racing, thoughts racing, you're overwhelmed, relationships suffer, relationships break down, or people break apart, health suffers, finances or work or your success strategies suffer, all of the major areas of life. And imagine how that spirals into everything else. A relationship breakdown, or health, or the inability to study or to work properly. You get school dropouts, you get depression, you get death. Anxiety, often progressing to dropouts, depression, death. That's not a good thing. And it's a lot of people. 40 million diagnosed per year. In every given year, 40 million people worldwide, at least, clinical anxiety. 1 in every 4 people. There are 4 of you in a room, randomly, at least 1 of you within their lifetime will have some form of a clinical anxiety issue. That's a lot. 1 in every 4. Now, how to cope? Let's take mental tools, which I'll call, for the sake of this discussion, mental frames. There are general mental frames which relieve the burden, relieve the stress. You might like to think of it this way. Coping mechanisms can be, for the purposes of this discussion, the reverse of anxiety or anxiousness. The better you cope, the less anxious you are. So let's look at that. As a function of charge, the less negative or stressful or restless, anxious charge you give an idea or an event or so-called trigger, the less anxious you are. So it's about decreasing emotional charge. So let's consider that concept and look at what might help. Among the things I've noticed really help include gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, progress, positiveness. And the goal is to get you functional. Let's look at this. The idea is decreasing emotional charge. Now, if you're grateful for something, for anything, even if it's just for being alive, even for the fact that you're still sane enough to panic. It's silly, okay? You have social anxiety, but you have friends, okay? You have phobias, but there are lots of things you're not phobic towards, okay? You have generalized anxiety, but when you wake up before your first thought in the morning, you're fine. So there, somehow you've eaten today, whatever it is. Somehow there's something to be grateful for, and that gratefulness decreases the charge, decreases the emotional charge of your so-called condition. Think about it. I mean, if not everything is bad, not everything's against you, and not everything runs against you, and there might be some things in your favor. That's a good thing. So, gratitude. Same thing for forgiveness. If you can forgive others, if you can forgive yourself, you decrease the emotional charge and emotional burden of all these things you have roaming around your head. And it doesn't feel like you're crumbling or being crushed every moment anymore. A little bit of forgiveness for others and for yourself decreases this tension, decreases your anxiety. You're coping better. Next, positive expectation. Purpose, progress. If you had purpose, if you had meaning, if you had something to look forward to do every day, well, there's just less time to be anxious, there's less time to be tense, nervous, agitated. There's so many things to do. You don't have time to freak out too much. Or at least some of the time you're okay, or more okay. And that's again reducing the overall craziness, nothingness, and tension and heaviness of how you perceive life itself. So, gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, and positive expectation. If you can somehow look forward to something somehow good happening, even if it's a mundane little thing, as later I'm going to have a brownie, later I'm going to have a nice tea, later I'm going to chat with friends, later I'm going to embrace a good friend, later I'm going to shake a good friend's hand, later I'm going to sit down for a quiet corner with my favorite book, a reread, so it's nice and relaxing. Anything that you can positively look forward to gives you less of a charge. It relieves emotional charge. You're better off for not everything being wrong or going wrong. Okay, so gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, positive expectation, and then progress. You see, if you do a little well and you do a little better, even if it's just bit by bit, not everything is going wrong. And the best way to cause more progress is to have a little progress. You do a little good, you do a little better, you do a little bit more, and then you look forward to these things. And there's just so much to do. There's so much less time to just be anxious. You do a little bit, and then a little bit, and then a little bit. So let's look at some of the things around this, because there's this notion of when you're anxious, it's real. The struggle is real. The struggle looks real. You're uneasy, almost perpetually, it feels like, and you're apprehensive. You can hardly move. So think about it this way: if you moved, if you get done just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, you remove the notion that nothing can be done. And even if you do it haphazardly and badly, you've done a little bit, and then you find out what doesn't work, and then you do better. And then when you do better, you make progress. And then when you make progress, you get better and better at doing things which point in the direction of not everything is to be anxious of. And you do better. You cope better. Again, this is about mental coping mechanisms. And part of mental coping mechanisms is actually doing something. It's not just in here, okay? You got the notion of I reduce charge, and how you reduce charge is you do something. And true, there's the mental thing of it, but you get a little bit done in the outside world. That's less time in the inside, messy, anxious world that you've painted around yourself by no fault of yours. Yes, I know, it genuinely, definitely looks real. I know what it's like. Yeah, it looks, feels real. It's crushing. But you look at these coping mechanisms, and the more you work at them, the more progress you make at them, the better you do. Okay? So, gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, positive expectancy, progress. And the basic idea is to somehow just get you functional. Okay? Functional. Doing something, getting something done, getting better at it. And it's almost that Einsteinian thing where Albert Einstein's fundamental question is the universe a friendly place? And if you can resolve that the universe is a friendly place, somehow that relieves the tension. Not everything is a bad thing. Not everything's nutty or crazy or crushing. not everything is to be anxious of. And in the Viktor Franklian sense, if you have a strong enough why, you can bear any how. If you have a strong enough purpose, you can do anything, even if it's bit by agonizing bit, until the agony is less and less and less, and you get something done. So I hope this has been useful. These are mental frames you can use. They do work, especially if you use them. And if you'd like a little bit more help, things to check out definitely will include cognitive behavioral therapy and hypnotherapy. Now, if you'd like to check out hypnotherapy, basic notions around it are, well, this isn't a debating thing. You may have noticed that logicking yourself through what you're feeling when you're anxious doesn't work. Logic does not work. And so hypnotherapy is something that's designed to help speak with your non-logical, your emotional, your irrational mind, the thing that's actually in charge of your behaviors. You know what it's like when you find yourself doing things you aren't supposed to be doing, which you know are bad for you, in an effort to cope, and you find yourself not doing things that you should be doing because there's that feeling that stops you. Well, hypnotherapy helps you overcome these obstacles which you set from inside yourself by speaking directly to your unconscious mind, the part of you that automates all your behavior, the part of you that actually governs when you freak out, panic, have a social anxiety attack, a phobic attack, or a panic attack, or generalist anxiety just crushing you. That part that causes you to have a racing heart and shallow breath, that's the unconscious mind that works in tandem with your autonomic nervous system. And in fact, the symptoms of tenseness, nervousness, agitation, when you have heart racing and shortness of breath and clammy hands, and you're nauseous and dizzy and you've got your dry mouth, these are symptoms of a hyperactive nervous system. And hypnotherapy helps with that too. So hypnotherapy helps with speaking directly with the unconscious mind, or suggesting something nice and useful to the unconscious mind. And it also helps with state control. And for me, the best kind of hypnotherapy comes with a little bit of coaching and counseling. And the basic idea for me in my practice is that hypnotherapy is great. And it's also nice to have things which transfer onto the real world, because you know what it's like when you need a technique, it doesn't work because you can't access the technique. Well, it helps to be able to install things and have a reflection in the real world of, like, when this happens, when I think this, when this triggers me, this is what I do. To have that A met by a B and then met by some way of coping now, so that instead of absolute anxiety, there's coping. And to make that interaction, that reaction, that new connection automatic. Hypnotherapy helps with that. And ideally for me, your hypnotherapy comes with a little bit of coaching and counseling to link those two so that your unconscious mind works well with your conscious mind. Hope that makes sense. And if you'd like a safe, comfortable way to test out hypnotherapy, there's always group hypnotherapy where you're surrounded by peers, some of them along the same journey you're on, and some of them helping with the journey that you're on. Some of them are starting with anxiety, some of them have it as bad as you, some of them have it worse than you, and some of them are winding out of it, and some of them have survived and are out of anxiety. And you're surrounded by capable mental health professionals who know what you're going through and who know exactly how to help you. And first and foremost, like really fundamentally, are present, there for you, and not freaking out. So, I hope this has been useful. Take it for testing. Use these tools we talked about: gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, positive expectancy, progress. Look for your ability to function, even if it's just bit by bit. And if you'd like a little bit more help, check out group hypnotherapy and perhaps hypnotherapy, counseling, coaching. Again, this has been Strix, and let me know how this has helped you. If it helps any, in past sessions, most people not only felt relieved, they felt like they had better ways of coping, of doing better. And we're actually doing hypnotherapy sessions soon, group hypnotherapy sessions soon. There aren't many seats, so you might like to check that out. And some of the bros are on Facebook. There's Luigi and Ken. You might like to ask them. So, We've given you coping strategies, and if you'd like to try out more, if you'd like to meet us, begin a conversation with us, and try out group hypnotherapy, that's available for you. And please, if it's been really bad for really long, you might need a medical clearance and you might need medical attention, medical help for interventions or medications. Please clear that out with your doctor first. And if you've got clearance from your doctor, or if your symptoms aren't so bad, you might like to be in conversation with us. We can help. Let us know. Okay? And if this has been useful, we hope it has. Please share this with people who will benefit from these coping strategies that will save lives from anxiety. Cheers.